Becoming drier with sunshine developing and showers well scattered. Cooler than average with top temperatures of 16 to 19 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. A more electric team up than Salah and Mane. Gamble responsibly. See Dunlewy.net.
And you're welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan with you 3 till 5 o'clock in the company of journalists Johnny Ward and David Sneyd. Remember, our football coverage brought to you with thanks to Paddy Power. For more information on responsible gambling, visit Dunlewy.net. You can text us on 53106. You can tweet us at Off the Ball. We're also streaming live as well now, so you can watch us on the Off the Ball social channels for Periscope, on Twitter at Off the Ball, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on the new OTB Sports app. For iOS and Android, search OTB Sports in the App Store now to download it. Good afternoon, lads. I think by looking at social media, guys, you might have been at Rovers last night, Rovers and Shells. So I don't know if you saw the Europa League final, but Sevilla winning it again, a 6th time. It's strange that teams can be just such specialists in a competition. And it was a great final, 3-2 win. Luke de Jong scoring twice, former Newcastle player. Lukaku scoring for Inter, but on the losing side. But I think they deserved it overall. And a good story with Lopetegui as redemption, sacked by Spain, sacked by Real Madrid. Well, the Spanish thing didn't work out, and he's got redemption now at Sevilla.
He has. Both David and I were in Tala last night. Strange experience, John, with obviously nobody there. And what would have been maybe a raucous Dublin derby was quite tame. But the interesting thing about, I suppose, the game from last night was just the record of Spanish teams in finals, but also how seriously the likes of Sevilla and those Spanish teams take the Europa League, which I don't think should be looked down upon maybe to the extent that it is in Britain. I thought that I did fancy that Conte would do the job at Inter, but maybe that defensive game plan that he has, sometimes you need a bit more than that, and it set it up nicely for what should be, like, I think, now sometimes you can build up Champions League finals or football games too much when everything is in place for it to be an awesome game, but this just has everything going for it tonight. I think it'll be one for the ages. Yeah, and David, I think if you're struggling out there, anybody in the country, if you're wondering if you'll ever catch a break or if things might turn your way, just think about Julian Lopetegui. The Spain team who's leading into the 2018 World Cup are absolutely flying. I remember being over there in Russia at the time, and it was a major story when he was let go for taking a job at Real Madrid. The Spanish president, the FA president, went bananas, I remember at the time. Dismissed then 4 months later from Real Madrid. It all went wrong on so many levels because he could have won the World Cup at Spain. And now in his first season in charge at Sevilla, they've won a European trophy. David? I'm afraid we've an issue there with David's line. Johnny, it's a strange one, Lopetegui. Like, he was crying after the game, and I think it was just coming out, the emotion of the last couple of years. Yeah, I mean, what happened, obviously, as you mentioned, with the whole Spanish thing was completely nuts. The likes of Real and some of those clubs, they do kind of change managers quickly, and you do have the chance of redemption. Spain's a very interesting football and culture over there, and this means an awful lot. Whereas even if Manchester United were to have won the Europa League, it's questionable how their fans would have celebrated. But I think it's quite different over there, and I'm not surprised he was emotional after the game. This has been an interesting week in the League of Ireland in terms of my own club, Galway United, lost. They basically got rid of Alan Murphy as manager, who was very early in his career. Vinnie Perth faces an uncertain future as a manager after what happened at Dundalk. And, I spoke to another couple of managers about this. When we can only, imagine and speculate what it's like. And this is only at League of Ireland level to be sacked. And I've lost a job in the past. I've lost jobs in the past. And if you lose it, this is out of the public eye, but you start self-reflecting and say, why did that happen? And when it's like a manager and you lose jobs like that, it's in the public glare. And also this kind of narrative that you're a failure probably can seep in. And it's good to see redemption like that because, you look at even the game that's going on at the moment, John, St. Pat's and Bohemians. St. Pat's manager Stephen O'Donnell, I've, great hopes for him, but they're having a ropey time. And managers want time, but time isn't there anymore in football. I think managers in general deserve 2 years because you need a long time to embed your football philosophy. You don't get that in sports, in football anymore. It's all about immediate success, and it's great to see when it works out the other way.
Yeah, Bohemians leading St. Patrick's Athletic 2-0. Anto Breslin and Andre Wright with the goals for both in the first half. They're closing that gap with Shamrock Rovers.
They're flying, JD.
Absolutely flying.
And in fact, it was, I remember, like, people would have said early in the season, or start season, there's absolutely no chance it won't be Bows, it won't be Dundalk or Rovers winning the league. And having watched Rovers last night, and maybe we'll talk about it a bit later on, but I'm not convinced that there's certainties, and Bows wouldn't have anywhere near their budget. And it's a nice story as well, because they're fighting very, very hard with a really good coaching staff, a great attitude, and wouldn't have the budget whatsoever of Shamrock Rovers, but are fighting them tooth and nail.
Yeah, David, we have you back there now. Lopetegui, I was just saying that for anybody listening out there, whatever walk of life you're in, you're going to get setbacks in life, and he's really bounced back from his.
Yeah, do you know what? It was one of them when I got back in from the game in Tala last night, and you just saw that clip of him in tears when he won, and so what he'd been through, because you can only imagine what's actually gone through his head over the last couple of years. I'm sure, as you said there, in terms of the manner in which he kind of lost his job with Spain. Then it was a disaster, Real Madrid, and it's like a lot of people, sometimes you go through things and you're going to have to come through it the other side, and just like that emotion that you see with him, it just shows you what it meant to him. And because I'm sure he would have been down, he would have been thinking, like, he's the manager of Spain, gets sacked on the eve of the World Cup, and then you get the biggest club job in your country, and it's an absolute disaster for him. So for him to get that bit of success in the way he's got it too, in such a, like, watching the highlights, it was a thrilling game. Even kind of the updates are coming through as we were watching the game in Tala last night, and it was just seemed like a cracker. And for him, redemption, and you kind of wonder now, kind of, is this the road back maybe for him to get back to one of the kind of the elite clubs again? But then, as you said, maybe he has this taste of success at a club, Sevilla, who now have such it's amazing their pedigree in the Europa League, and it's just whether or not they can actually make that leap in Spain in La Liga. And don't know where they're going to do that. Maybe is by being a force in the Champions League too, and I think that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, Real Madrid, I thought, always acted shabbily around Lopetegui. First of all, to attract him when he was doing business with Spain in 2018, and then to let him go after a few months. They acted poorly, in my view. Lukaku, lads, 34 goals this season. Were Man United maybe a bit premature to get rid of Lukaku?
No.
Come on. Sneydy's going to defend these Man United-based decisions for the rest of the show now.
No, listen, Lukaku. There was a great quote from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer not so long ago in the fanzine United We Stand, where he said it wasn't. He basically said he didn't want to fill his squad with arseholes. Essentially, he'd rather have a hole in his squad than an arsehole. Sorry for the industrial language.
Yeah, please watch the industrial language there. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that, but that's basically what he said, and it was very pointed in how he was talking about it, because stuff was being brought up about Lukaku one, obviously Sanchez was another, and I don't know, like, kind of, if you looked at what United were trying to achieve with their attack, so much went through Lukaku, and it was just breaking down constantly. And like, he's gone on, and it's not that he's not a good player. Like, you can't write off a player like Lukaku. When he was at Everton, he was phenomenal, and he still scored goals for United, and he's been exceptional for Inter Milan. But I don't think you could suggest that what United were trying to do, that it was wrong by getting rid of him. Like, I think it was clear what Solskjaer was trying to do and the way he was trying to play, and he just didn't fit in. And for someone like Antonio Conte, he's just the ideal fella, and he's, other than his own goal, he's just been exceptional for Inter Milan this season. You can't hold it.
I thought, Sneydy, that JD, I thought one of his issues with Man United was his link play around the box just wasn't good enough. And Lukaku's kind of a flat track bully, and the standard of football in Italy versus England will be a little bit different. And I thought in bigger games he was badly exposed. He had a shocking record in big games, and more so when you want really quick interplay around the box, which you'll see an awful lot of this evening. You didn't get that with Lukaku. A lot of their attacks broke down because he's maybe half seconds kind of behind the other players in terms of that quick movement, and I don't think it was necessarily the wrong decision.
Yeah, it's also a Champions League, so much to look forward to ahead of the match tomorrow night in Lisbon. We just got some texts and tweets in here on 53106, and Off the ball on Twitter, and I was just asking people about like Champions League memories. You know, the competition has changed so much from the European Cup where it was. I remember when I was like growing up to like knockout competition, Liverpool winning it like all those years between like 77 and 84. You'd Aston Villa, you'd Nottingham Forest winning it twice in a row, and then you like the Champions League. It became then in the early 90s. And you've got Marseille winning it for the first time, I believe, in 1993, 1992, 93. So I was asking people like for great memories of Champions League finals, what stood out for them. Folks out there, 53106, were you at the Man United game against Bayern in 1999 in Barcelona? Were you at the Liverpool finals in Athens or in Kiev or in Istanbul, obviously the famous one, 2005. So AC Milan 4, Barcelona 0 in 1994, an incredible performance that many forgot when mentioning the great teams in history. That is from Ernie Fahy. We've also got these texts in. Michael Dolan spending the best 3 days ever at a football game in Istanbul. The roundabout routes taken to and from Kiev in the brilliant afternoon in Shevchenko Park. Padraig Neary, 99, heard United's 2 winning goals on the radio coming back from a hurling match. 05 in Istanbul will always stand out and probably never be topped. 13, Klopp's Dortmund failing and falling short, and 19th by the day and night on the Liverpool fort. The city was on wheels, and Matthew Reardon, as a Liverpool fan, 2005 ranks high, but thought 2011 was the best I've ever seen. Messi, Pedro and Villa masterclass. So 8 o'clock kick off tomorrow night in Lisbon for Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich. Guys, it's completely changed football, this competition, the way it has transformed not only as a competition itself, but the game in Europe, and it's become, to me, the Champions League final, when it has fans, and hopefully it will have soon in the next couple of years, is almost the European Super Bowl.
Yeah, sorry, that's actually not a bad comparison, JD. I would have mixed feelings on it. You know, if you go back to the old days where, you know, Nottingham Forest could do what they did, and when it was a proper knockout competition, and as much as, you know, it was an amazing thing to do well in Europe, it was obviously like it was a small part of your season. And as it has progressed, and I even remember when they used to have 2 group stages, which I think entailed 17 games to win the Champions League. In many respects, you know, it has become the all-powerful thing, as you say, the Super Bowl. I think my first memory of it would have been maybe Marseille in 1993, and the 3 games that stick out to me as finals then would have been Man United in 99. The reason for that would be I absolutely hated Man United when I was growing up, and I always felt that they came up short in Europe. I thought as much as they were unbelievable in the Premier League, and Fergie got rid of those big players and brought, you know, 1 title with young players, I thought it was a step beyond them, but they finally got over that gap, and obviously the nature of that game was absolutely manic. Real Madrid in 2002 in Scotland, because of Zidane's goal, which was you know, the closest thing we'll ever see to Ronnie Whelan's goal in 88, I suppose, and Liverpool in 2005, just because everything about Rafa Benitez was thrown out the window in that game. They just had to show heart and grit and all that, but they've, you know, I think the powers that be have been kind of trying to fight off Super Leagues by placating the bigger teams in the Champions League, and you know, I've always felt the name is a misnomer. Like, why do you have a Champions League with a team that finished 3rd in their domestic league and won nothing the season before? It doesn't really make sense to me. Now they're bringing in a 3rd tier competition to kind of further weed out the smaller clubs. And against that, a lot of the group stages are kind of cannon fodder stuff that isn't that interesting. The romantic part of me would actually prefer it to be the way it was, where it was sort of a knockout competition. But if we're going towards anything, now I'd say it's probably more towards some sort of a Super League. And it's great that I think the Premier League has really held on to its kind of intrigue and integrity, and the domestic leagues haven't maybe suffered the way some people thought they would. But down the road, I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah, we're speaking to Enda Stevens after 4 o'clock, and it's just brilliant that Enda Stevens can play for Sheffield United and Ireland, and on a day they can beat Chelsea, they can beat Spurs, which they did when the season resumed in June. I know myself, like when I grew up, I remember like Porto beating Bayern Munich in the 87 final with a back heel, Rabah Madjer, the Algerian. Just memories that stand out. Obviously, the Milan team were an amazing team of Rijkaard, Hullet, Van Basten. Like even like some of the other players in that team in the late 80s, early 90s, you had Donadoni, you had Baresi, Maldini. They were just an amazing team. And then United, obviously, it was just in the stars that they win it there in 1999. When they won in 08, they were a much more advanced team with Ronaldo in the side. And then, of course, Liverpool was just a miracle, wasn't it, in 2005, consider the AC Milan team they were facing. You went to a final, David, I think it was 09 in Rome you were at?
Yeah, I went as a fan more so, well, not as a journalist before I kind of decided to grow up and and work for it, but giving away my allegiances there. Yeah, I was just thinking back to that time, and I think a lot of fans, and I'm sure you'll probably see it when texts come in from different lads who've gone to games and fellas who go to games. It's like, obviously the 90 minutes of the football are important. You want your team to win, but it's why kind of this weekend or the game on Sunday, you're kind of looking at that and you're just so disappointed that two great teams, there's going to be no fans there, because that's what, like you're saying there about being the Super Bowl. Super Bowl is only enjoyable because you see what happens around, and like the stories you have and the times you spend with people. That's what supporting any football team is about. And when I look back at 2009, yeah, Man United got beaten, and I ended up missing a train back to Pisa where I was staying, and sleeping on the floor in Rome Termini station, and absolutely in bits, and having lost. But I look back thinking, it was with some of my best friends, and you're kind of like have these moments with people, and that's what I look back on, and that's what you kind of as a supporter, and what I think is what people have realised over the last while watching all these great games that happen, and there's no fans there, that it's just not the same. It's just like, as much as everyone loves football and you're seeing these great players do stuff, and you see Neymar with that little back heel for the goal during the week just to set it up, these brilliant moments, and there's people not there the people who should be there to witness it aren't there, and it's just so sad. It's probably one of the least like kind of maybe devastating aspects of what's happened with COVID. People have lost their lives, is what people have said about football is the most important, the least important things, and it just makes you sad that people aren't there to see it. And it's like now, like even just people this during the week, it's mad that it's over 10 years ago since it was there. It actually feels like a lifetime ago. But then some of the best moments in my life, like staying in Pisa with some of my best friends and having great moments, and it's just, yeah, for 6 minutes of that game it was great, and then United fell apart and Barcelona took control.
I think JD I think that's probably one of the aspects of that Liverpool win in Istanbul, because Istanbul is such a unique city. Like, it's basically a cross between, it's on that gateway between Europe and Asia, and it feels exactly like that. It's kind of half Middle East. In fact, like parts of the city feel like you're in like somewhere in the Middle East. Parts of the city feel like you're in Europe. But for the Liverpool fans, and a few of my mates would have been over there. I think it was like a life-changing experience for them. It was just, everything was so mad. It was probably one of them things that took you weeks, if not months, to actually get your head around. But just the fact that it was Istanbul, and it was like it's really, really unique city to visit. Football mad. I went to a game over there, a friendly game, Galatasaray and Fiorentina, and I've never seen anything like it. And it was just like a perfect setting for a game of that manic nature.
Yeah, I was in Brussels watching the 05 final, and I actually sang You'll Never Walk Alone because it was just such an amazing, and I was a Spurs fan.
Is that the first time you've admitted that?
No, I probably admit it. I generally tell the same stories in a kind of a loop, about 5 stories in the same in a loop. So yeah, that's probably on the fourth part of the loop. But it was just a bizarre night, because I just remember, you're a gambler, Johnny. I don't know if you like a bet, David, but I felt at halftime this wasn't over. I had a gambler's gut that told me at halftime this was not over between Liverpool and AC Milan. Maybe the only person in the world who thought that. But the night was so good that we actually found €50 on the ground in Brussels. So it was a pretty good night. But I was lucky enough to go to the Bayern Munich Dortmund game in 2013 at Wembley. 90,000 fans, most of them German, split in half. And Wembley is one of these stadiums that doesn't get the credit it deserves. It's an amazing stadium. But what always fascinated me, they all travelled together on the tube. No hassle, no violence, no tension. They all travelled together on the tube to the Champions League final. And it was an amazing game, which Arjen Robben scored the winner in 2-1. And I think you summed that up very well there, David. It's about identity, it's about belonging, it's about all these Paris Saint-Germain fans, whatever but the club and the Qatar influence. They'd love to be there in Lisbon now tomorrow night, going to this match. Bayern Munich haven't won it in 7 years. And fan culture and being a fan and having that identity is something that we do miss at the moment.
That's it, absolutely. And like the Champions League by nature is an elitist competition, especially when you get to this stage, because it's the best teams in Europe. Now obviously at the moment and over the last few years, because of just what's happening, everyone knows PSG and other aspects in terms of sports washing and what's going on. But like, you have to remember that at the heart of it is like obviously there'd be glory hunters and all the rest of it, and there'd be fans there who just go along for the celebrity of it, I suppose. But these clubs at the heart of it have people who just dedicate their life to supporting them, who are from the area, who just give everything really, like in terms of identification. And like these, like you see, like if you're looking for the moral high ground in football in terms of who you support, like you're onto a loser, because no one's going to win in football in that instance. There is no moral high ground for people. And what it would say is that fans of these so-called super clubs, especially like the ultras, because like you look at PSG, and like you shouldn't like, it's not as if all these like, fans are just, as you say, kind of prawn sandwich eaters. Like there's fellas there who will like go home and away and just will be probably some might find it hard to even watch because they're not a part of it, and they relate. That's how they relate in terms of their life. It's just it's part of life. And I've seen it in Manchester with people who are not there, and just because one of the biggest clubs in England is on their doorstep, that's just a look at the draw for them, you know. And it's just again, I'm probably repeating myself a little bit, but it's just sad that the fans can't be there, because that's what makes this all tick. And like they are big institutions, but like that's just how it is. Like you look at Bayern Munich, and like, people saying like this one is like kind of old money versus new money, but because I think it's a bit too simplistic. Look at Bayern Munich, like they're backed by like Adidas. There's Audi there, like the Allianz Arena. Allianz are one of the shareholders. Like can't get away from just the huge amount of money that is from around football. I don't think that for a second diminishes some of the passion that's there for people and what it means to them, just because it's just grown exponentially, and it's just incredible from what I've done. Like, I think the Champions League, when it started, and I was looking at this earlier, when it was rebranded, I think the total prize money in the first year in '93 was less than 30 million, whereas like last season it was over 2 billion. You know, and it's just incredible. That's just how football has gone. That's why a lot of the stuff we're talking about now in terms of what's happening with clubs and where they get taken over, that's what happens, is because football has just grown massively, probably beyond the size of people's wildest dreams.
Yeah, that's the pact, isn't it? That's the pact between commercialism and which we just have to accept, and the quality of it obviously is improved. There are super clubs, but it doesn't mean that just because you support a super club that you are, you become something that you're not. I remember myself last year trying to get to the Spurs-Liverpool game, didn't get there in the end. They were selling tickets. People were willing to pay €10,000 in Madrid for a ticket for the Liverpool-Spurs Champions League final last year. There's text in here on 53106 and tweets at Off the Ball. European Super League is inevitable. I predict all of the major domestic leagues are boring strolls to the title, with the exception maybe of England most years. All the super clubs do not want to compete with domestic minnows year in, year out. They want to compete with fellow pan-European super clubs. That is from Brendan Anoffley. Joe Turner on Twitter, been to 4 finals, got tickets to Glasgow in 2002 through the ballot on UEFA's website, paid a fortune for trips to Istanbul and Athens, went to Kiev too in 2018. The route home involving a 7-hour taxi drive to Moldova. Jimmy Smith, yes, was in Istanbul in 05. Incredible trip. The stadium in the middle of nowhere. An incredible AC Milan team. 6 minutes of madness in the second half. The greatest Champions League final assist ever from Kaka, and the key introduction of Haman to shore up the centre midfield. That is from Jimmy, as I said. And Mark Riley was in Athens, couldn't get anywhere near my seat as they let everybody in without tickets before we got there. Watched from the stairwell, extremely limited view. We lost, so not too bothered. I got to Paris in 06 for Arsenal against Barcelona. Can still see Henry below me making it 2-0. But wait, he scuffed it. That is from Declan Cork. And the Champions League final has not been the same since they moved it to the weekend. That is from Owen. But I've got to disagree with you, Owen, there. Looking forward to tomorrow night's game in Lisbon. 53106, your texts on the Champions League final, your best finals you've seen, and any trips you've been to, or at Off the Ball on Twitter. We will preview Bayern Munich against Paris Saint-Germain with Johnny Ward and David Sneyd next.
Football on Off the Ball
with Paddy Power. A more electric team up than Salah and Mane. Gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
This weekend on News Talk, we're celebrating National College of Ireland's online CIPD courses for HR professionals that are now enrolling for September. News Talk's Bobby Kerr caught up with Rachel Doherty, CIPD Programme Director, to find out more.
Good companies have good people, and that's not down to one department. That's down to every manager in the organisation. But HR can support those managers because their expertise is often in the technical aspects of a job, and they get promoted based on that. So they need support and they need development in order to become really good managers.
Hear the full interview and learn about NCI's live webinar event this Tuesday, August 25th at newstalk.com/NCI.
Showers shouldn't just deliver water. They should deliver an experience. one that feels calm and luxurious, one that restores your mind, revives your senses, and does it all in complete silence. Introducing the Myra Elite SE Dual, Ireland's first silent dual outlet pumped electric shower. 2 outlets, one of a kind. Available at Woodies, B&Q and other local stockists.
At National College of Ireland, our students are living proof that studying here can help boost your career.
I had such a great time at NCI that 9 months after I graduated, I came back and did another course. It was a brilliant decision.
For one thing, I'm sure the MBA was crucial in my getting a big promotion at work.
The lecturers are supportive and engaging, and I think that's really important. That's always a winner in my eyes.
There's a career out there for you after you studied at this college.
Prove to yourself what you can do with our wide range of full and part-time courses at National College of Ireland. Call 1850 221 721 or visit ncirl.ie.
Afternoons are easy with InsureMyVan.ie, Ireland's low-cost van insurance specialist. Get your business back on the road with Insure My Van's best price guarantee. For super savings, visit InsureMyVan.ie. City Financial Marketing Group Limited, trading as InsureMyVan.ie, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The Belling range of fridge freezers are A+ rated for energy efficiency and come with a full 2-year warranty for your peace of mind. To learn more about the range of Belling appliances, please go to paracity.ie.
Families, communities and organisations across Ireland have been working on projects for National Heritage Week 2020. Completed projects are now free to explore on heritageweek.ie. Learn about heritage on your doorstep, forgotten heritage skills and Ireland's history of education. Heritage Week, 15th to 23rd of August. Some events will be taking place. Booking will be required. National Heritage Week is a programme of the Heritage Council and the local authorities' Heritage Officers Network, supported by the Department of Culture, Heritage and the Gaeltacht, OPW and Fáilte Ireland. heritageweek.ie.
Are you up for the All-Ireland Cycle Challenge? Think you could cycle 200 kilometres over 10 days? Then get on your bike in aid of the National Breast Cancer Research Institute. Cycle 20 kilometres a day over 10 days between Friday, August 28 and Sunday, September 6 and help raise vital funds for breast cancer research. Pedal your county to All-Ireland glory. Register now and find out more at allirelandcycle.ie.
After 25 games over just 18 days, it's all come down to this. Virgin Media's Festival of Football comes to a fitting finale on Sunday with the UEFA Champions League final.
Oh, that is superb!
Can PSG superstars finally deliver Champions League glory? Or will this brilliant Bayern side take home their 6th Champions League trophy?
Wow!
The UEFA Champions League final. PSG v Bayern Munich. Live Sunday from 7 on Virgin Media 1.
Mega sale now on at Curry's PC World. Save up to €500 on Samsung QLED TVs from just $1,149. Save €120 on the Shark Duo Clean vacuum cleaner for only $179. And get the Acer Aspire 5 14-inch laptop for only $639. Save €200. Get in store or online at currys.ie.
Ireland is experiencing a worrying resurgence of COVID-19 infections. To suppress the virus, we must all do the simple things. Avoid places and situations which are crowded. Adhere strictly to the basic hygiene rules. Limit the number of visitors to your home to no more than 6 people from 3 households. Work from home and avoid public transport where possible. If you are over 70 or medically vulnerable, limit your interactions to a small number of people at home and outside. There are also new measures for restaurants and sporting and cultural events to limit the numbers meeting indoors and outdoors. Full details of the new guidance are available at gov.ie. The virus remains a threat. Every one of us needs to play our part. Remember, the basics are the same. Wash your hands frequently, observe coughing and sneezing etiquette, limit your social contacts, and remember the 2-metre social distancing rule. Supported by the Government of Ireland.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. A more electric team up than Salah and Mane. Gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
Welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan with you 3 to 5 o'clock in the company of the journalists Johnny Ward and David Sneyd, talking about football, talking about the Champions League final tomorrow night, Paris Saint-Germain against Bayern Munich. 53106 for your text messages and at Off the Ball on Twitter. Our football coverage brought to you with thanks to Paddy Power For more information on responsible gambling, visit dunlewy.net. We're also streaming the show as well, so you can watch this as well on the Off the Ball social channels for Periscope, on Twitter, at Off the Ball, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on the new OTB Sports app. Search OTB Sports in your app store now to download it for iOS and Android. Living in Barcelona at the time, I was at the 1999 final. Queued for 2 days at the Camp Nou with my friend's grandfather's season ticket and paid 4,500 pesetas for my ticket, about 25 punts. Was immediately offered £800 by a British tout, said no, kept the ticket and no regrets. £800 to be well spent, but the memories are still there. I'm a fully paid up Liverpool fan since the League Cup final in '87, but I had Milan as my foreign bid on the side thanks to the Channel 4 Football Italia. That '94 Cup final when they beat Barcelona 4-0 was one of the greatest performances ever by any side. That is from Robin Monaghan. Was in Glasgow in '02 to witness Zinedine Zidane, absolutely stunning goal for Real Madrid against Bayer Leverkusen. And my father went to his first European final in 1963. He's been to over 40 and he's definitely, although he's got a soft spot for United, that the Ajax team of the 70s was ahead of anyone. The 72 game against Inter and Cruyff scoring twice. That is Tom from Limerick. Lads, for God's sake, we all miss being at the games, both football and GA, but you bloody journalists going on and on about it makes it only worse. Talk about the match, not COVID-19 for bloody once. That is from John in Kilkenny. Well, let's talk about the game. Bayern Munich, Hansi Flick has done an amazing job. Hansi Flick was a Bayern Munich player in '87 against Porto when they lost the final. Then he was Jogi Löw's assistant in 2014 when Germany won the World Cup. Has got them playing a very much an attacking game, a very high line defensively. And Lewandowski's in incredible form, 55 goals. But they've also got youth in the team, Davies as well, I suppose, especially he's only a teenager, isn't he? The left back, Alphonso Davies. They've got it back in the groove, Bayern Munich, haven't they, guys? It's hard to believe. I just can't believe it. It's 7 years since they won the Champions League.
7 years, yeah, against a team who've never won it. And I was just watching the Virgin preview of this game the other night with Niall Quinn and Damien Delaney, and Joe Malloy mentioned Bayern's scoring record. They score 4.2 goals per game, and I was like, this is absolutely insane. How do you score 4.2 goals per game without doing a Kevin Keegan and conceding 4.1 goals per game or whatever it is? But just this is revolutionary football. The high line, I mean, it's obviously it's setting it up for a massive fall if it goes wrong. But the intensity of their play and the sheer number of goals they score. One of the questions I think Joe asked was, are these the best two teams in Europe? Now, that's a harder one to answer, because you think Liverpool and Manchester City, if they were in the last four, they'd sort of both fancy their chances. But, these two teams at the moment kind of do look like the best two teams in Europe. And it'll just be the biggest anticlimax ever if this isn't a very good game, because it just has everything. You have a high line that is basically based on rushing up so that the midfield gets possession quickly, taking on players like Mbappe, who's one of the fastest gazelles you'll ever see in the pitch, and with a midfield of ingenuity that can find him, and with Neymar. So you mentioned the betting. Like, I saw that it's 13-8, 8-13 in terms of the betting, which is fairly profound towards Bayern, JD, but I think it'll be closer than that.
And Melvin Lawyer will have to be on his game, won't he, David?
Well, he's the sweeper as well, isn't he?
Yeah. Like, he'll have to be on his game the way they play, because they've I know they've been winning matches by a huge aggregate, but even in this one-off competition, but they have been exposed at the back a few times.
Yeah, and do you know what? They have, and it's going to be an interesting one to see if he holds his nerve on this, because you're coming up against someone like Mbappe and Neymar, who it's like the deadliest combination. You've got as Johnny was saying, you've got the ingenuity of Neymar, who can pick these passes for probably the quickest forward in Europe. So it's going to be a test of Bayern's own kind of identity, really. Are they going to stick with what has got them here, or once they come up against a team who offers a challenge that maybe others haven't, what are they going to do? And Gus says they're going to just continue on. I think when you've come so far, if you change now, I think it could throw things into disarray. And I think when you're talking there about the betting, I wouldn't be a betting man, just because of past history. I've just learned from mistakes. There's no point in doing it. But
we all have, David. We all have.
I know, but I think maybe because Bayern do have that pedigree, maybe in Europe, that's possibly why they would be seen maybe as slight favourites. And I'm just looking at it. I think what Johnny was saying, I just don't see how this isn't going to be a cracking game, because it's not a case of
you've got one style of just say defending and just destroying against the other. You've seen that down the years, and say with Mourinho's teams or whoever, where just a manager would actually revel in just spoiling a game. This strikes me as two teams who want to win the game their way, which they both see is the right way, and both how they play football is just exceptional to watch. And like there's so much wrong with PSG in terms of how they got to this point now again. But I have to be honest, and when it's during that 90 minutes of a match, and when they turn it on, it just, as a football fan, it is just fantastic to watch. And so when I'm watching it tomorrow as a neutral, that's what I'll be. I won't be working. I'm just going to be watching it purely as a fan. And it is one of those games where like you'd want to be there, because it's going to be set up to be a thriller.
Yeah,
it reminds me, JD. Sorry, it reminds me a little bit of the football final in 2001 between Meath and Galway, and Meath had absolutely demolished Kerry going into the game. And I think Bayern's kind of expectancy in this game is based a little bit on the Barcelona game. And I wouldn't throw that out the window, but I think that you should not be reading too much into that. Barca were an absolute shambles. They were so bad. I think like a mid-ranking Premier League club would have done a lot better against Bayern that night than Barca did. And PSG, if you look at PSG, as much as they don't have the pedigree of winning this, and it's been a bit of a project for them with all the money they've invested and all the superstars they've had, the Atlanta game is probably that game-changer game where you're going out of the competition and suddenly completely galvanises you. And I think in terms of the belief that they have, Bayern will go in there probably half thinking that they've already won it. I think PSG will relish the fact that the expectancy is that Bayern will probably win. And I think togetherness has come from the fact that they came out of such a hole in the Atlanta game, and they just have ferocious pace to exploit that Bayern system.
So Neymar is the pork Joyce, is what you're saying, Johnny?
Yeah, actually, that's a fair comparison. I hope pork Joyce won't mind being compared to Neymar.
Barca 99 deliverance, Glasgow 0-2 Zidane, incredible goal, Moscow await, Mick in Dublin, glory days. I'm thinking if there's one man, like obviously it's set up for him now to win it for Bayern, it's Lewandowski, 55 goals, he's improved his all-round game. He lost the final when playing for Dortmund 7 years ago at Wembley against Bayern Munich. Amazing, he's never won a Champions League. He could be the knife through the heart of PSG tomorrow.
And you know what, as well, like he's just been one of those players who's been around for so long. And I've never really felt too much about him in terms of one way or the other. He's never really kind of, not a way. There's always been this debate, Messi, Ronaldo, and like Lewandowski has just been there in the background, brilliant all the time. But I read an article just this morning in the Guardian by Jonathan Lewis.
Great article, great article.
Oh, like, and it's the first time. Maybe I should have just gone looking myself for more detail on him. But he's someone who it just always struck me as someone who was just always brilliant, like just an absolute natural striker, brilliant. But like this fella he's moulded himself into that player. You know what I mean? Like he's worked under Guardiola, he's worked under Klopp, he's worked under Ancelotti. Like Pep Guardiola described him as the best professional that he's worked with, you know. And it's just like little things in there. Like I won't give too much away about the article, but it's definitely worth reading if you want to learn just a little bit more about the man, and in sense of like everyone talks about Neymar. Everyone talks about Neymar and saying, "Oh, well, this is why he's left Barcelona. He wants to go to PSG. He wants to be the main man. This is his crown. This will be his crown of glory to win." But when you see this about what Lewandowski has done to get here in his career, like you're wanting him to deliver. You're wanting him to actually have the game where he does maybe net a winner or just does something special, because like he has. I was actually getting tired reading the article because I'm just thinking like this fella has just been relentless in his career to get to this point. Because like you kind of look at him and you kind of think archetypal kind of striker like that in terms of just natural like lethal finisher, but he has worked so hard to get to this point in his career and to stay here. And he's come through, as you said, difficult moments with Bayern as well, where he's probably thinking, well, do I leave to actually win the Champions League? And he's on the cusp of it now. And just you come out after reading this thinking so much more about him. And even like the fourth paragraph of the article alone is just phenomenal. It's just won't spoil it because it's just really worth reading.
Yeah, and what Hansi Flick has done, lads, he's got a good mixture of youth and experience. Thomas Muller's revitalised, Neuer's there, Boateng, but also like Kimmich, Goretzka, Gnabry, they're all only 25 years of age. Dave Davies have just commented on how young he is. And Gnabry as well, like it's just... Even the first goal the other night was just an absolute belter. And this is the thing, they got match winners all over the pitch. And with the speed and the way they're playing a really... I don't know whether they're a club that's ever been really loved, Bayern Munich, but they're playing a football that you definitely love.
Yeah, and it's also kind of inspiring that Müller and Lewandowski, you know, Müller turns 31 this year. He was actually born in the old West Germany, if you want to feel a little bit old. That's how old Müller is. And Lewandowski at 32. How do you get like a team that's that good with two players that are in their early 30s? And football is no country for old men. You know, the way it has developed, it's an incredibly pacey game. You look at Messi's sort of demise as he's gotten older, and I know it's probably a bit harsh on him, but that's the dramatic thing about them. They've this indefatigable kind of way about them. And Lewandowski, maybe his goal scoring record this season, if there is no Ballon d'Or, I'm sure he would have won it. It's absolutely off the charts. But I suppose the way that they've been able to maintain that level of performance and maybe slightly reinvent themselves as well, and all in a team that is I mean, it must be an absolute pleasure for an attacking player to play in that team, because of that high line, because they compress the pitch so much, you're going to get a lot of chances. And there are going to be so many traps. I think tactically it's going to be fascinating, because I don't think Bayern can really change. It's like the cheetah changing its spots in the space of a few days. We've had a manic season. The games have been very compressed. I don't think they can do an awful lot to change the way they play. And everyone is expecting PSG to exploit that. But PSG have to be on guard, because like Müller is just a sensational goal scorer for what he can be, and PSG can't make mistakes at the back. And in a lot of games now, these games where your goals expectancy aren't that great, and say, the first goal is going to be massive. I'm not sure it is in this game, to be honest. There could be 7 more.
Yeah, 53106 for your text messages on the Champions League final. Great show, lads. Think PSG could win this easier than people think. Last season, Liverpool ripped Bayern asunder, but PSG caused them awful problems. That is from Tom and Oran Moore. I went to the 08 final with my wife, who's a United fan. I'm a Liverpool fan, so wanted them both to lose. Got a picture with the great Jan Mulby outside. We'd no hotel, so it was great that it went all the way to penalties. That is from Declan and Drogheda. Of course, it was the rain in Moscow, wasn't it? Man United against Chelsea. Mbappe, 180 million from Monaco to PSG. 30 goals this season, 21 years of age. He's already won a World Cup. The pace from deep could be frightening. He's my favourite player in the world. I just love the way he plays the game. And if he's on song tomorrow night, it should be exceptional.
Well, yeah, it is. It is just set up. But then, John, was interesting as well. Sorry, I'm kind of going off topic here a small bit, but you made the point of just how there's so much build up about this game, and everything is analysed. And like, it's 40 years since Nottingham Forest beat Hamburg to win the European Cup. And earlier in the year, I just got in touch with Viv Anderson, and I was like, just wanted to speak to him about just a bit like what it was like in the build up to a European Cup, because that final was in Madrid. They beat Hamburg, which was Kevin Keegan, and it was just amazing some of the details he was telling about what Brian Clough did like 40 years ago. And I know like Martin O'Neill used to always talk about it when he was the Ireland manager, and by the end sometimes you'd be rolling your eyes, but it was interesting. Like, Clough took them away into the hills, I think it was in Mallorca somewhere, and just They didn't touch a football till the day before the game. For the week, they didn't touch a football. Like, Peter Shilton was like going stir crazy, and at one point they ended up going out onto like a grass verge in the middle of a roundabout just to do some handwork without Clough knowing with one of the coaches, because he just needed to get his hand on the ball. And Viv Anderson was just saying that Clough just wanted to take all the stress away and all the pressure away, and that is one point that maybe is worth has to kind of be touched on, is like how when players get to this biggest stage, like the biggest game of their club career for a lot of them, because you look at it, like Bayern haven't won this competition for 7 years. PSG, like obviously this will be their crowning moment, but they're kind of will players freeze. Like, how do you get into the shape? How do you get into the mental framework to actually perform and to deliver? And just from looking at the tournament, I think Bayern will be slightly better suited. Like, Alphonso Davies is just phenomenal as a footballer. He's just incredible. But then they also have, in terms of looking at midfield with Thiago, someone who can just, I think, maybe dictate the play a bit more. I think they just have the edge that way a little bit, Bayern, in terms of that maybe, as you were saying, they've got more threat around the park, but also the ability that if things aren't going great, like when they conceded their own goal against Barca, where they can just calm things a little bit. And now maybe PSG, because of what happened against Atalanta as well, maybe that they'll have confidence from that. But it's just, I think it's as much as so often, it's who can deal with it mentally, because these lads who are at the peak of their powers, and these are the elite. So, but upstairs. It's in their head, like who can come out here now and deliver. Like this is where the managers, I suppose, will know their players inside out, and how do they get them in that mode to actually just go out, try and relax. And maybe the fact that there's no fans there will help that. You know, it's gonna be intriguing to see that way. And it's just that's the thing, that would be the big thing, because it is the subplots in terms of what it means for different players to actually win this tournament. You know.
Kieran Boyle has been in touch from Florida on Twitter to say, my first big football memory was May '84, Stadio Olimpico in Rome, Liverpool-Roma, the glamour of the final, a home game for Roma, the colour and the magic. A different era, but for me that is a standout final, a European or Champions League. The thing about Graham Souness as well, I remember spoke before about the fact that Liverpool went on a break as well before that Champions League or European Cup final, as it was in the time in '84 against Roma, and then played them off the park. It did go to penalties, but Liverpool won. Thomas Tuchel, I suppose, is the man, isn't he, who's got to get into the PSG heads, Johnny, to get them right, and he's followed the Klopp route through Mainz, through Dortmund, and now he's on the cusp of satisfying the Qatari owners and doing what the likes of Unai Emery couldn't.
Yeah, I know. Dave was talking about fans and all that. It is that the Qatari owners is still in the background, and it's probably an unsavoury aspect of football now that these kind of owners are involved. But yeah, he seems an amazing coach, and they've a real togetherness there. When you put together a group of millionaires like these guys with egos like Neymar and all that, and Neymar has emerged as more of a leader, I think, from sort of the games I've seen this season as well, and seems to be taking on the mantle. And it'll be very interesting as well. You mentioned Thiago. It'll be interesting to watch him in that. I think this could be his last game, I think, for Bayern. And if Liverpool fans are watching, there's been the expectation for so long that he's going to go there. Liverpool will have to get a notch higher next season, and he could be that player, and he'll be massive here because he is the fulcrum of that team. But like, this high line is fine, JD, but like, if you have somebody as quick as Mbappe, a high line is so vulnerable, and I think that's going to be a key aspect of everything. Well,
let's hear from Damien Delaney. You referenced them earlier on there, Johnny. The former Republic of Ireland international says he doesn't think PSG can stop the Bayern Munich juggernaut.
No, I don't think they're capable of it. I think Bayern, once that juggernaut gets rolling, I think they'll do this to anybody. Okay. But if there's anyone can do it, if there's anybody can, because you look at it, they obviously have Mbappe and Neymar, but then you look at the other midfield players. Ander Herrera, he'll get absolutely run right over the top of. Yeah. And you look at Marquinhos, he scored a couple of good goals, and he's a very good player, but he'll get run right over the top of. And then the other boy, Paredes, as well, will just get blown out of the way.
So you're telling me if any team could, it would be PSG, but they won't.
It'll be if any team that and that goes to your point and what you started with. They are the best side left outside of Bayern, or not the best side, the best kind of team equipped to do this to Bayern. But I think they'll have a plan for Neymar. They'll have a plan for Mbappe, because it's one thing getting in, and even if Lyon scored tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and say, even if Lyon scored 2 in the first 7 minutes, I don't think they'd have been in the least bit worried. Yeah. In the same way that Barcelona pegged them back to 1-1, they just went, it's fine. We're going to get caught with this system because it is slightly risky, but the greater good is we're going to tack on 5 here, and we are capable of doing that when we hit our full stride. So even if Lyon got their noses in front, not one person. I mean, I remember when Alaba scored that own goal, there's actually a little wry smile, I remember thinking, when he was getting up off the floor, as in Jesus, he wasn't worried, because he knew, no problem, we're on top. This goal has come against a run play, it's been an own goal, but I know my guys can get the job done here.
Everybody's got a view on Bayern Munich against PSG tomorrow night. Now, here's Kenny Cunningham, the former Republic of Ireland captain, on the man that may be able to unlock that Bayern defence.
Mbappe in particular, for me, is the one. A lot of talk about Neymar. Wouldn't go overboard, to be honest with you, in terms of some of Neymar's performances. His final product's been awful, really, in terms of his finishing. But, taking responsibility, looking to get on the ball and maybe make things happen. Some good individual play, 1v1 situations that catches the eye, absolutely. But if I was the defender, Mbappe's the one who absolutely terrifies me. I was watching him last night. He must have made about half a dozen runs in the first half, lads, in behind. He never got the ball once. I just saw him in the corner of the TV screen, because obviously the camera's following the ball. And sometimes you can't see those runs from forward players. They're out of camera shot. But I caught him a number of times just standing off the centre halves, just looking disinterested, and just suddenly sprinting in behind. And the ball never arrived. The defenders never saw it, never anticipated. And anybody with the ability to pick a pass out over the top, Marquinhos really isn't that type of player. Enda Herrera isn't. Paredes is probably the only one. but they haven't got enough of those players who can actually pick those runs out. But he's the one who can kill you, because he's always looking to go in behind into the area of the pitch where he knows he can do the most damage. So Mbappe, for one, is the one you get him on the ball sufficiently enough and in the right areas, and he gets into the right areas. He doesn't indulge himself like Neymar, coming too deep areas of the pitch, getting it off centre halves, etc. He stays up high in the pitch, in the areas of the pitch where he knows he can hurt teams.
See, if Mbappe does it tomorrow night, lads, or even Lewandowski, this is the tipping point season, I think, with Ballon d'Or and Ronaldo and Messi. This is the tipping point season. This is the season when things are going to start to change. We're going to have maybe a new era of superstars.
Well, Mbappe has that pace that's, you just would, any defender, particularly as Kenny was saying there, would be absolutely petrified of Mbappe. And it just completely flies against the face of all logic that you would try to deal with that threat by playing a high line. And that's going to be the thing, because as Kenny says, like, if you have a player that has a bit of passing ability, and essentially you don't even have to be able to pass the ball that well. If you have that much space and he's that quick, he could be 6-7 yards off a player and still make it. So you just need, and that's going to be really interesting. When the ball breaks down, what's Bayern's attitude then? Is it all, well, we have to be very, very wary of this? Are they going to stick to their principles? But I'm like you, JD. It'd be probably him and De Bruyne would be my 3 favourite players anyway in the world. And I think the stage is set for him, and I think he's ready for it. And maybe he doesn't get as much, sort of, Neymar gets a lot of the love, but Mbappe has everything. And it's impossible to deal with that pace at times if you can kind of isolate a little bit of space.
Do you see a tipping point regarding like Ballon d'Ors and this kind of thing now, David?
Well, you would imagine so now, in terms of it's going to be the first time in what seems like about 40 years that Messi or Ronaldo aren't going to be lifting the Champions League or in the latter stages. But I'm going to just throw another name in here, and he hasn't been mentioned, Di Maria. So we're talking about PSG, and so Di Maria more than likely would have operated maybe off the right hand side. It makes no sense for PSG to try and put him one-on-one against Alphonso Davies, because he's just not going to get the better of him in a race. And if we're talking about what the lads were saying there, I think it was what Damien Delaney was saying there, or even Kenny as well, about picking that pass to get the lads through. I wouldn't be surprised if you see maybe Di Maria, he does have an influence on games. He's like a quality player. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him dropping a bit deeper. Now, I don't think he'll win the Ballon d'Or if he has the star role in PSG win. I do think it's going to be one of Lewandowski or possibly Mbappe or Neymar. But I just think if you look at it, I think Di Maria is someone who can also have a very, very big influence on this game. OK, got to take a break, folks. David Sneyd and Johnny Ward on the Champions League final. We're also speaking to Enda Stevens, the Republic of Ireland and Sheffield United defender, after the break, so don't go away. Congratulations to Will O'Leahy. You've won our competition for €300 worth of Garmin fitness products by correctly identifying 1987 as the year that Stephen Roach won the Tour de France. All with thanks to the All-Ireland cycle, which takes place between August the 28th and September the 6th. This is Off the Ball Saturday on News Talk. Stay with us.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. More confident than United before a Europa League final. Gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
This weekend on News Talk, we're celebrating National College of Ireland's range of part-time online CIPD courses that deliver what HR people need in these challenging times. Find out how to enrol and learn about NCI's live webinar event this Tuesday, August 25th at newstalk.com/NCI.
QuoteDevil.ie can save you money on your car insurance, van insurance or home insurance. Quote Devil Home Insurance is so easy. Get a quote in just 60 seconds and purchase cover in 3 minutes.
The Quote Devil's always got one hell of a quote.
Quote Devil Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Isn't it curious that every member of your family has a different voice? That a baby can recognise their mother's voice from inside the womb? That identical twins have the exact same vocal cords but usually don't sound similar? And teenagers can sense the tone of their dad's voice when he says,
"I'll think about it."
Even over WhatsApp.
"I'll think about it."
Let your family follow their curiosity with unlimited data when you bring everyone's plans together on Vodafone's multi-mobile Red family plan. Get a third plan for only €15 per month. 12-month contract, €15 per month. Max speed 10 megabits per second applies when you add Red Unlimited SIM only as a third plan with Red Family. See Vodafone.ie for full terms.
What do you hear? What are the sounds that add richness, texture and meaning to your life? Your hearing anchors you to the world around you. Protect your hearing. Start with a complimentary hearing test with one of our expert audiologists. Visit hiddenhearing.ie. Your hearing is our expertise.
That's the sound of Daniel doing his weekly grocery shop. With Daniel's large-capacity Samsung frost-free fridge freezer, he can store more and keep food fresher for longer. He bought this fridge freezer from Harvey Norman at the great price of €669, saving €90. At Harvey Norman, we've the best prices and the best deals on fridge freezers, like the Whirlpool frost-free fridge freezer, now just €699, saving €50. Shop online today or safely in our spacious stores. Harvey Norman, your home appliance specialists.
Go!
At Dunnes Stores, nothing is more important to us than your safety. That's why we want to tell you about our Stay Safe face visors. A pack of 5 visors and frame costs just €5. They give full face protection, one size fits all, and they're comfortable to wear. Made with anti-fog material, they're fully cleanable and reusable. So protect yourself and pick up your 5-pack of reusable Stay Safe face visors and frame for only €5. Available in-store or online now at Dunnes Stores. Always better value.
National College of Ireland has a worldwide reputation for excellence in part-time programmes for HR professionals. Our CIPD accredited certificate and diplomas in HRM and Learning and Development start online in September. To find out more, join us for a live webinar on August 25th at 1 p.m. Visit ncirl.ie.
Ireland is experiencing a worrying resurgence of COVID-19 infections. To suppress the virus, we must all do the simple things. Avoid places and situations which are crowded. Adhere strictly to the basic hygiene rules. Limit the number of visitors to your home to no more than 6 people from 3 households. Work from home and avoid public transport where possible. If you are over 70 or medically vulnerable, limit your interactions to a small number of people at home and outside. There are also new measures for restaurants and sporting and cultural events to limit the numbers meeting indoors and outdoors. Full details of the new guidance are available at gov.ie. The virus remains a threat. Every one of us needs to play our part. Remember, the basics are the same. Wash your hands frequently, observe coughing and sneezing etiquette, limit your social contacts, and remember the 2-metre social distancing rule. Supported by the Government of Ireland.
This weekend on News Talk, we're celebrating National College of Ireland's online CIPD courses for HR professionals that are now enrolling for September. News Talk's Bobby Kerr caught up with Rachel Doherty, CIPD Programme Director, to find out more.
Every year we have people who are managers in their organisations and they're leading large teams and they feel they want to up their HR expertise. This year it's going to be live online, so there are no geographical limitations if you want to attend. All you need is a laptop and good broadband.
Hear the full interview and learn about NCI's live webinar event this Tuesday, August 25th at newstalk.com/NCI.
Across Ireland. This is the IMRO Radio Awards Station of the Year. This is News Talk.
It's 4 o'clock. Good afternoon, I'm Stephen Burke. The Taoiseach is facing calls to ask the European Commission President to consider Phil Hogan's position. The EU Trade Commissioner was at the Oireachtas Golf Society dinner on Wednesday night with 80 other people in Galway, breaching COVID-19 guidelines. Mr Hogan has since apologised after being prompted to do so by Micheál Martin. Midlands North West MEP Luke Ming Flanagan says Mr Hogan's position has now become untenable.
Some people would say that he will do Ireland favours in trade negotiations. Let's look at what he's been doing so far. The European Union have provisionally signed the Mercosur trade deal, and I don't think he is or will be a good trade commissioner for Ireland. So if he had to go, I think we'd deal with it.
Meanwhile, Richard Boyd-Barrett from People Before Profit believes former Attorney General Seamus Wolfe can't stay on as a Supreme Court judge either.
Well, I think people are absolutely sickened, and rightly sickened, beyond the initial resignations that we've seen. The position of EU Commissioner Phil Hogan and the former Attorney General Seamus Wolfe are completely untenable.
A Kildare TD says another fortnight of restrictions in the county is a very significant setback. People in Laois and Offaly are enjoying their first full day out of lockdown today. Minister of State Martin Hayden says the extension in his county is tough to take.
Yesterday is a very significant setback for Kildare residents and business who have done everything right. People in Kildare haven't done anything wrong here, and yet we have seen a prevalence of the virus in our county reaching a level that is dangerous. So
Ireland's economy is facing a potential loss of €2.3 billion this year due to the impact of the pandemic on tourism. Freight volumes are also down around 2/5 since it broke out, but County Louth haulier James Quinn says activity is picking up again.
The food and the pharma and the high-tech sectors have remained very resilient. And, fundamentally people are still buying stuff, but their purchasing model has slightly changed from going to stores to buying it online, which means that the stuff has to be still trucked from a production plant.
And vandals have scrawled graffiti denying the Holocaust on a wall in the village that was the site of France's biggest massacre of civilians by the Nazis during the Second World War. The French Justice Minister is vowing to punish those responsible for the act in Urdor-sur-Glane, where SS troops killed 642 villagers in a 1944 reprisal. It's 4:02.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to the AA. Download the new AA app to request a roadside rescue and track the patrol right to your car.
Becoming drier with sunshine developing and showers well scattered. Cooler than average with top temperatures of 16 to 19 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. A more electric team up than Salah and Mane. Gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
This is Off the Ball Saturday on News Talk. John Duggan with you through to 5 o'clock in the company of the journalists Johnny Ward and David Sneyd. Our football coverage brought to you thanks to Paddy Power. For more information on responsible gambling, visit dunlewy.net. You can text us on 53106 any Champions League final memories or trips you've been on. We'd love to hear them. You can also tweet us at Off the Ball, and you can watch us on the social channels as well, for Periscope on Twitter at Off the Ball, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on the new OTB Sports app. You can download that now for iOS and Android. Search OTB Sports in your app store. Good news for Bohemians fans. They've beaten St Patrick's Athletic 2-0 in the League of Ireland Premier Division with goals by Anto Breslin and Andre Wright. So just 2 points now between the great rivals in Dublin, Shamrock Rovers, who lead the table by 2 over Bohemians. Ronald Koeman, you were speaking about Barcelona there during the week, Johnny, earlier on. A club hero, 1992 European Cup final, who could forget that free kick against Sampdoria. His managerial career has had a few highs, few lows. Did well at Southampton, did well at Ajax. Everton might be a bit of a mixed bag. But you got Koeman and Henrik Larsson in there, but it might be just a short-term thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of restructuring to do. They're kind of like, I suppose, a country that's been under a leader for a long time and is going to soon have a new leader, because Messi's been that power for them, and his influence has been so overpowering that as he wanes in terms of his own physical ability and all that, it's like year zero, starting over again. I was actually talking to a couple of Liverpool fans, my mate Chris, who's listened to the show, who pointed out that a lot of the top strikers in Europe are actually in their 30s at the moment, which is fair enough because we're all getting a bit older, but made the point that Wijnaldum would be an interesting one for Koeman to look at in terms of if Liverpool are going to bring in Thiago and who lose out. Wijnaldum could come in, and obviously Koeman would have had a relationship with him, but Barca's going to be fascinating. I've no idea what's going to happen there, but Messi, the whole Messi situation, and whatever Messi is this season, he's going to be on the wane next season. He's had an incredibly tough career in terms of what he's given, and it's a big rebuilding job, I think, to be honest, for whoever gets the job long term.
Yeah, an 18 squad, David. Trouble in the boardroom, a presidential election next year, end of an era, as we spoke about on the show last week. If you're buying chairs, you wouldn't be buying them in Barcelona right now.
No, well, it's an interesting one. Again, you mentioned about the election. Like, you'd wonder, like, who's going to be the person who'll want to actually say to Lionel Messi, do you know what? It's time to go. And I don't think there's anyone there at the moment who's brave enough. And if you're looking at the fact that Abidal has gone, who had a very public falling out with Messi, it's clear that things are happening now to appease Messi in that sense. But then if you look at it, you're kind of thinking, is Ronald Koeman the type of manager who would actually be capable of getting rid of him? Is he the sort of character and stubbornness and just bloody mindedness about the person to say, well, actually, Lionel Messi is not the player that I need? And it seems absolutely crazy to think about it, considering what he's done. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Koeman has been brought in, possibly with the proviso that Lionel Messi is still going to be the main man in this team. But eventually, the day has to come where Barcelona have to be brave enough and have to say, well, do you know what? The game is moving on. Teams are, even in their own league, are outdoing them, and something has to change. If other players aren't able to perform to their maximum, like they've broken their transfer record in the last few seasons on players, and nothing seems to be working. Like, and it is that down to Messi? And it seems mad that it could be, because he's been like the best player in the world for God knows how long, and he's provided some of the most amazing moments in the last decade or so. But like, is Koeman, you're saying there, is it a short term appointment? Well, it will be if they don't get results. He won't last. Barcelona are ruthless. They won't hang about, and I just don't see him being the one who's going to actually get Messi out the door. And it's mad to even have to be even talking about that, you know. But maybe like the common denominator there was.
Do you want him in there playing a different role? Because notwithstanding his commercial importance, and sad as it is to mention that, Messi is still a very, very good player. He doesn't necessarily need to leave, but it's like he has to probably, himself realise that I can't be, calling the shots there anymore. I'm a waning but like slightly different part of this team now, and maybe be a positive kind of influence to the dressing room in terms of the younger players that are coming through, because they can still keep him, but it's like what role he has. His legs obviously get a little bit slower.
But you also have to look at it as well. And again, I know that texter earlier on said don't be mentioning COVID, but like we're in an era now where Barcelona aren't going to be able to go and spend the money that they have previously. So, like, do you say, well, do you know what? Will we actually be brave and take that risk and sell Messi, and you could get a fortune for him somewhere, and then be able to totally rebuild and totally restructure things and do it that way, almost without that distraction? Because you have to, something has to happen, or I should say, do you find a coach who's capable of getting something different out of Messi at this point in his career and getting more out of players around him? And it's just, listen, we haven't got the coaching badges to be able to make that to find out what the way of doing that is. But that's what needs to be done. It's either find a way of somehow getting. We mentioned in terms of Lewandowski, he has been able to change his game a little bit. He's more an all-rounder. Like, that's what Messi kind of seems strange in terms of picking fault in someone like him. But something else has to happen if he's going to be there, because what's been happening at Barcelona, you can't put it down to everyone around him. Like, he's there too,
Yeah, OK. Well, also they've been spending money like Brewster's Millions, over 300 million on Dembele, Coutinho and Griezmann. So hopefully Koeman will get the best out of the likes of Griezmann. We're delighted to be joined on the line, by the way, by the Republic of Ireland and Sheffield United defender, Enda Stevens. Enda, good afternoon.
Hey, are you all right?
Yeah, good, thanks, Enda. You're back playing Premier League football in 3 weeks' time. Wolves on the opening weekend. Are you ready to go again?
Yeah, we've been back a week now, so this week's training's been tough, but we're preparing right and we'll be ready to go.
And how did you find it ended behind closed doors since June? Was it an easy adjustment without the fans?
Probably not. No, it was a bit. It takes you aback a bit because you haven't got the atmosphere to kind of give you that adrenaline. You kind of have to go and find it somewhere else, and it probably took us a little bit longer to adapt to it. But it is what it is. It was the same for everybody else, and we kind of got there towards the end, and we'll be looking forward to now new season and trying to get going to a strong start.
Would it affect your intensity, do you think? And are your nerves any different with no fans and that kind of thing?
It wouldn't be nerves, but I do like your intensity. You're gonna have to get that adrenaline from somewhere else. You haven't got the crowd to give you a lift. Like if you have the opposition on the back foot, there's no like crowd noise there to kind of suck their energy away and give us a lift. But it is what it is. It's the same for both teams, as I said. So we've kind of got the grips with it now. We've got a few pre-season games lined up, I think, to adapt as well and get back used to it. So we'll be ready to go first game of the season.
And Bramall Lane, when I'm watching those matches on TV, and I'm thinking that is a real advantage to play Bramall Lane. But on the other hand, does it make the away games easier?
No, probably not. I think the away games are probably more tougher. Well, we found them a little bit tougher, so we'll be doing our homework now and how to get over that and how to improve on our performances away from home. The home games kind of speak for itself because each blade of grass in your own turf, so you have that intensity, you have that like adrenaline and that to go and win the game. It's just the away games you kind of have to adapt a bit.
That Aston Villa game, and it was just so bizarre with that goal that should have been allowed, which wasn't allowed with the technology not working. Did that affect you guys at all, do you think?
It was a strange thing to happen during the game, because even if you watch the reaction of the Villa players, they all knew it was in, and everyone was kind of just stood still waiting for the referee to blow his whistle, but it never came. And I think we were talking, a few of the lads were talking to him at half time, and I think, to be fair to the referee, I think he was apologising because it was a technical fault. There was nothing he could actually do about it. Did it affect us? No, I wouldn't really say so. I don't think we necessarily played well in that game, and anyway, to win it, so we knew performances had to improve over the next course of the games.
And some kind of strange results as well. Like, you beat Chelsea, you beat Spurs, but you lost the last 3 games. Can you put your finger on why? Was it just that you had the momentum before lockdown, and then it was kind of difficult maybe to get it back to the same extent?
Yeah, I think so. I think momentum was a big thing for us, especially with how we were performing on the pitch. And lockdown probably came at the wrong time for us. And then when we got back on, we had 2 bad results, I think, in the first 2 games, and we kind of rediscovered that form again. And I think we had a dip in form in the Leicester game, and it probably just affected us a little bit too much, and we kind of never reached the kind of peak performance that we had shown previously.
What was the biggest thing you probably learned from being such an ever-present and during a Premier League season with that team with Sheffield United?
What have I learned in terms of
just like, you know, you're an ever-present. Like, I know you were at Villa a few years ago, but you know you're constantly in the team. Chris Wilder knows what he wants to do. You got the 3-5-2. Like, did you feel like you were really hitting the pace and you're playing your best football? Yeah,
with football, I think the one thing that I learned was consistency is everything. The manager wants to see consistency. If you're consistent in your performances, you'll play every week because he knows what he's going to get from you and he can trust you. And you got to gain your manager's trust. You want to be in a manager's go-to team. If he wants a result, you want to be on that team that he trusts to go and get him that result.
Great news for John Egan, your teammate, your international colleague. A new deal for him?
Yeah, delighted with that. He's tied down his future now to the club, so it's great news. I think a lot of us have signed new contracts now over the last couple of months, especially over the last year. So it's good. We have the core group together, and we'll probably add a few more players in the transfer window, hopefully, and we'll be looking strong now for the new season.
Would you hang out now with John and with Dave McGoldrick? Are you taking money off John on the golf course?
I was just with John there for the coffee. Me and John will go for coffees probably every day after training, have a chat and that. He doesn't live too far away from me, so we'll be playing a bit of golf hopefully soon, and I think he might be taking the money off me because he's been out practicing every day.
We've got David Sneyd, the journalist, on the line here, Enda. He did a great profile with you there a few months ago. And we also got Johnny Ward. Johnny, you know Enda, I think, from the social scene. Is that right?
Vaguely, yeah. Enda actually, I actually met Enda at an awards night there. I can't remember, was it the Soccer Writers and PFAI Awards, but the same day, I think you were playing Spurs, Enda, and you were absolutely gypped by a VAR decision, and we were talking about that. But I'm less interested in your social life, which I know you manage very well, than I am in just Monday and the whole Ireland thing, because obviously there's no team more relevant to Ireland at the moment really than Sheffield United, and everything has been a bit mad this year. But in light of Jason McAteer's kind of baffling comments about Stephen Kenny, you know, I was at the Rovers Shells game last night, and Damien Duff was in front of me, and I know like that the backroom team they've been working nearly day in, day out on your opposition, and they've been really working hard. But what's the expectation, and how excited are you? And I suppose as well as that, what's it going to be like playing under Kenny? Because I imagine he'll probably play, if you get on the team, he'll be playing 4 at the back, and you'll be playing the conventional left back that you've been. But are you excited by it all?
Yeah, definitely. It's been a long time now since international football, so we've missed it. So now that's only around the corner, we're really looking forward to it. And it's obviously a fresh start with the new manager and the new team. And I was at the Bowls game against Dundalk, and he was there and we were chatting, and he was just saying, like, they are doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff in the media room, looking at games and coming up with ideas and that. And it'll be just exciting to kind of learn what they have in store for us and how they want us to play. And it's a fresh start for a lot of players now, so there's an awful lot to play for in the next 2 seasons with Ireland. So if we do well, albeit it'll be very memorable.
Yeah, and as well as that, like, how excited are you by the young players coming through? Because I know, like, yourself and Dave McGoldrick could be kind of among the more senior players in the squad and all that, but not that one necessarily expects Kenny to lash these under-21s in straight away, but it must be exciting just to see the progress of the 19s, the 21s, the 17s, and Irish football seems to be on the up as well.
Yeah, definitely. You want the young lads out there playing games every week where you can see them, and a lot of them are. You got Connolly at Brighton. You got a lot of players now just coming into fruition and setting their mark on the leagues, and that'll only help them now with the international scene. And once they get in there, they do well, that they'll stay in there for forever, really, for as long as they can. And it just brings that competition and everything that we need, that competitiveness that we need for the Ireland squad.
Have you been in touch much with Stephen since he got the job back in April, and any kind of Zoom calls or instructions, or is it a case that, once you hook up for the Bulgarian-Finland games, you'll get a sense then?
No, through lockdown we had a Zoom session. I think he went around most of the lads and had a Zoom call with them and just had a chat, and probably got just a bit, introduced himself to a lot of the lads and what he has in store for us, and it was quite good, but that seems like a long time ago. But now it's all done. Now we're a week away from meeting up, and it's just excitement now to kind of get going.
David, you were speaking to Enda a few months ago, and it was interesting that you kind of chronicled the whole, like, growing up in Dublin, and was it the Honda car and all that kind of thing?
Well, actually, I think I spoke to nearly everyone in Enda's life apart from Enda for it.
Well, now's your chance, David.
But no, it's actually, do you know what? It was just one of those where, no offence, Enda, but it was actually one of those where it was good to speak to different people about you, and just going to get that sense. And you mentioned there about going to see us Rovers. But you must have a bit of mixed emotions now with Bows and Rovers going for the title, because obviously your good mate Keith Ward, he's playing a star role now for Bows, and he could be key to them actually maybe winning the league, because they're really challenging Rovers now as well. Nah,
they won't be. Rovers will take it. Wardy's not that much of a star.
You know what, you're almost as definitive as Johnny Ward there in your declarations, but John, just interesting too about, you mentioned earlier about Sheffield United. I was up Bramall Lane at the start of this season, which again I think feels about 4 years ago, and I think it was the game against Crystal Palace, and I couldn't get over the fact that when you arrived at the ground, you have to go through all the fans to actually get into the players' entrance, that you're not going to separate it away. You kind of are signing autographs. I think you were there for about like 10 or 15 minutes. And it was just something that struck me. I don't think that happens at any other ground in the Premier League, where the fans are actually allowed to get near the players before the game. And I don't mean this in a bad way, but is that something that maybe you're worried about next season? Because it does seem as though sometimes that you, more so than other teams, that you do feed off the crowd as a team, because obviously everyone knows about Chris Wilder as well, his passion for the club.
Yeah, I think the manager's big on that. He doesn't want to separate the players from the fans. A lot of the fans probably go to the stadium hours before kick-off, so it wouldn't be right to just ignore them, walking through the car park. So we get to give them their autographs or their pictures and that, and it kind of keeps that family-run club, like the players and the fans' connection together. And it's just it's in a healthy environment for the football club, and it just helps, I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, there's rumours of fans getting back in the stadiums for October, but it's just a massive uncertainty now. You can't really say or give any comment on it, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Been a lot of testing for you, and is it a lot of kind of protocols and testing and this and that? I'd say it's completely. It took you a while to get your head around it, did it?
Yeah, it's just a change. It was such a big change, because as footballers, you're just stuck in this routine all through a season. It's like repetitive, you have your routine, everything's the same, and building up the games. And once that was taken away, and then you come back, it was totally different. And it was just the adjustment. I think you can see it took a lot of people and teams longer than others to kind of adjust to the new circumstances. I don't know, it's hard to kind of say, because it's starting probably to become the new normal now. So You just got to adapt. And the testing, we got tested twice a week. So that was it's actually quite good, that, because you get tested twice a week. So then, you have that confidence going into play, play the games.
Yeah. Just on what Johnny touched upon there about Jason McAteer. He was on a roadshow during the week, and he made the comments about Stephen Kenny's appointment as Republic of Ireland manager. I think the comments rooted in his experience, Jason's, with Brian Kerr. I'll just read them out here. This is what he said. When I think of Stephen's appointment then, it is a pretty big ask from a guy who's only really managed League of Ireland teams and a team in Scotland. I think the step up is massive. I'm always worried about the pedigree of a manager stepping into an international role. He likes to play attractive football, though, and it might be a refreshing change. It might be something Ireland needs. What do you think of the comments, Enda? Do you think it is a step up for Stephen, a big ask?
It's obviously a step up because it's the pinnacle, isn't it? You're managing your country. It's the same as a player. The pinnacle of your career is playing for your country. So obviously it's a step up, but it's one that you got to say he's determined to make, and he hasn't shied away from what he wants to do, and he has that confidence in his ability. He's got good people around him, the backroom staff, and he's got the criteria to kind of make it work, and he has the confidence, and that's what you need. You need someone coming in who's going to tell us, have that confidence in us to do well as himself, and to change what a lot of fans might want to see as attractive football, and hopefully he can do that.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's going to be a new dawn, and I think there's no reason not to be excited about it.
No, definitely. I think it's something to be excited about. I think all the lads are excited about it, and it's at the end of the day, it's down to the players. We got to perform for him. He'll give us all the confidence in the world to go out there and play, and he'll prepare us right, and it's down to us.
Just on that, JD, as well, Enda would have played under Michael O'Neill, obviously, for Shamrock Rovers, and look at the job Michael O'Neill has done, and he got a job, obviously, at a very high level in England, but where was Jason McAteer saying that, Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane being put together was a bad idea, despite all their experience, because they were two managers who wouldn't be tactical geniuses by any manner. And just the last thing I would say on this, and I'm sure Enda's well aware of this, Rory Higgins and Keith Andrews and Damien Duff are working under Stephen Kenny. It's not all about Stephen Kenny. This is a team here that are working their absolute socks off. They're really, really hungry young coaches. They're not these kind of coaches who are basically coming towards the end of their career, getting a big paycheck and effectively retiring after the Ireland job. And that's not worked for us. I think that's failed. I think we've become a country that hasn't anywhere near achieved what we can achieve. And I think the philosophy has changed, and Stephen Kenny has done more than that. He managed the under-21s to play football that I don't think we've ever seen before at any level in Ireland. And I just don't see where Jason McAteer is coming from with this. And maybe there's sour grapes under Brian Kerr, but there's just absolutely no worries in that score. And what we've had, I don't think has worked. And I'd imagine that all the players, even the ones who don't know anything about Stephen Kenny, are excited to work with Duffer and Keith Andrews and Rory Higgins as well.
Yeah, the players are excited to work with the manager as well, because all the lads that do know him, they've only heard good things about him. And as you said, it is a team game, and they're coming together as a team, and they're going to come in with their fresh ideas, their philosophy, and it comes down to the players. We got to adapt to them. We got to make it work for them, because they'll have all the ideas in the world, but we got to get on board with them and get on side, and we will. We're hungry. We've got the hunger. We're desperate to do well, and we're desperate to qualify for a major tournament.
Yeah, I remember you got Thomas Tuchel tomorrow night at Paris Saint-Germain. Didn't have a glittering career as a player. Arsene Wenger didn't end it. I don't think players, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but do players really care if where a manager was as a previous manager or as a player, as long as you're performing on the pitch?
No, players want to perform to the best of their ability, and I think with the management, you're going to get that from them. They're going to just instill that confidence for you to go out and play and just express yourself. And as players and as a team, that's what we want to do.
Just to finish, Enda, have you been homesick? Has it been difficult as well, not coming back, or Skype calls, Zoom calls with family, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it was tough, but I got away to Greece in the summer, and then from Greece I flew straight into Dublin, so I got a week at home. So it was actually quite good. It was a bit strange because it's been that long since I've been home, but no, it was good. It was a short break, but it was a positive. It was a good one, and it was needed. Seen a lot of people that I haven't seen for ages, and now back to business now. So hopefully everything will kind of lighten up in the few coming months, so people can get back over and come watch me play games again.
Absolutely, Sheffield United. And the ambition for the season, European football is definitely not out of the question.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, we just one game at a time, the old cliche.
Yeah, okay, Enda. Well, thanks so much for joining us on Off the Ball Saturday, and the best of luck at Sheffield United, and we'll speak soon.
Yeah, cheers, thanks.
Enda Stevens, our gentleman, speaking to us on Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk 53106 for your text messages. We got to take a break. We're back after this.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. More confident than United before a Europa League final. Gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
Tech Talk with Jess Kelly.
On the latest Tech Talk, we have the ultimate guide to buying a smartphone. We'll talk through the top devices of the year and advise which is best for your budget. Plus, we'll hear from Irish company Catapult about adapting event production during a pandemic.
Tech Talk with Jess Kelly.
Listen and subscribe to the podcast now, or tune in this evening at 5.
On News Talk.
We're getting fired up at the Arnott Summer Sale with further reductions of up to 70% off. Ends this Sunday. The Arnott Summer Sale. Shop in store and online at arnotts.ie.
Going boating or angling this summer? Better check the weather in advance. Better that you don't go alone. Better to know local currents and tides. Better to always wear a life jacket on or near water. This is Water Safety Ireland. Better safe than sorry. For advice, visit watersafety.ie, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Afternoons are easy with insuremyvan.ie, Ireland's low-cost van insurance specialist. Get your business back on the road with Insure My Van's best price guarantee. For super savings, visit insuremyvan.ie. City Financial Marketing Group Limited, trading as insuremyvan.ie, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Hello, Pat McDonough here from Supermax. Have you heard about our award-winning Plaza Group? Like the best motorway service station at the Barack Obama Plaza, Moneygall, and the best forecourt facilities at the Galway Plaza. But ensuring you are a happy customer is the real prize for us. With Supermax, Papa John's, Max Deli, Bewley's Coffee, Spar and Texaco, the plazas are the perfect pit stop for your journey. Now open at Portlaoise Plaza at Junction 17 on the M7.
Get closer to your cooking with Neff. For a limited time, claim a free set of induction pots worth €149 when you buy a selected Neff induction hob. For more information, go to paracity.ie to click and collect today.
Here, amidst the leafy splendour of suburbia, we're on the trail of an amazing example of natural evolution. Ah, there's one now. The EcoDan heat pump, perfectly adapted to Irish conditions. It converts renewable energy from the air to heat both home and water, while emitting significantly less carbon compared to fossil fuels.
Hey, yo, get out of my garden!
Homo sapien oratus. Best be going.
The EcoDan heat pump from Mitsubishi Electric. Changes for the better. Call 1890 326 326 or visit MitsubishiElectric/heating.
The time is right to add some extraordinary with Galway International Arts Festival's Autumn Edition. Indoors and outdoors, in person and online. All with your safety in mind. However you choose to join us, this Autumn Edition has got you covered with a wide range of events, including one of the largest outdoor installations ever seen in Ireland. This September and October in Galway City and County. See GIAF.ie for details. Supported by the Arts Council, Fáilte Ireland, Galway 2020, NUI Galway and Flowgas.
At Centra, we have everything you need. Like Centra Irish sirloin steak, save 33%, now $11.38 per kilo. Nestle Cheerios 800 gram, half price now $2.84. And our mega deal until Sunday, Last Miraz Data wine range, only €8 each. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy cost sensibly.
Ireland is experiencing a worrying resurgence of COVID-19 infections. To suppress the virus, we must all do the simple things. Avoid places and situations which are crowded. Adhere strictly to the basic hygiene rules. Limit the number of visitors to your home to no more than 6 people from 3 households. Work from home and avoid public transport where possible. If you are over 70 or medically vulnerable, limit your interactions to a small number of people at home and outside. There are also new measures for restaurants and sporting and cultural events to limit the numbers meeting indoors and outdoors. Full details of the new guidance are available at gov.ie. The virus remains a threat. Every one of us needs to play our part. Remember, the basics are the same. Wash your hands frequently, observe coughing and sneezing etiquette, limit your social contacts, And remember the 2-metre social distancing rule. Supported by the Government of Ireland.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, as obnoxiously passionate about soccer as Frank Lampard after the final whistle. Gamble responsibly. See dunlewy.net.
You are welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday on News Talk. John Duggan with you 3 to 5 o'clock in the company of the journalists Johnny Ward and David Sneyd on football in association with Paddy Power. For more information on responsible gambling, visit dunlewy.net. As well as listening to us on News Talk, you can watch us on the social channels for Periscope, at Off the Ball on Twitter, for YouTube, Facebook, and then a new OTB Sports app. Download that now for iOS and Android. Search OTB Sports in your app store. 53106 is the number for your texts. Of course, the Champions League final tomorrow. Bayern were so bad against Liverpool last year. I know they got a new manager, but how have they turned it around so quickly with the same personnel? Looked finished last year. That is some worry. Well, the manager does matter. Hansi Flick has done a great job there, and he's got the players believing again. This European final has got the makings of a classic. I think the lack of fans' atmosphere makes this a level playing field, as in regards to players dealing with the pressure. How will the Munich back four deal with Mbappe? Will they rely on Neuer to sweep up? There could be a crazy tackle or a crazy lob attempt on the keeper. Please live up to the expectation. Of course, I think we all want that to be the case when we get to our couch tomorrow at 8 o'clock for that appointment for Bayern Munich against Paris Saint-Germain, the European Cup with such a storied history. Great to hear from Enda Stevens, lads, before the break, the Republic of Ireland, the Sheffield United defender. So Stephen Kenny naming his team on Monday, his squad rather, for Bulgaria and Finland. But I'm saying team because who should be in the team? Who should be looking to progress into this Ireland team with these Nations League games as well? Not that important. The Slovakia game is more important. I'm thinking Jason Malumbi. I'm thinking James McCarthy possibly coming back. Who should be involved in this Kenny setup?
Well, I do think it's going to be he'll be a bit more pragmatic than maybe some people think. Like, I do definitely, as again they were saying there, it's about buying into his ideas when he comes in, and he is going to want to come in and he's going to want to change things. It's not as if he's coming in from a point of view whereby you're thinking, right, everything's been going grand, just try and keep things ticking on, maybe do things bit by bit. Fans aren't going to be in the stadium, but people are going to be expecting drastic things, and I don't think it's going to be as drastic in terms of personnel as we might expect. I do think Jason Malumbi is someone who, obviously he was captain of the 21 under Stephen Kenny, and he's someone who Stephen Kenny is big on. I think really kind of has impressed them. But also we mentioned James McCarthy. That's another player. Like Harry Arthur has also been another one who's been spoken about. And I just think I'm actually waiting to see what the story is in terms of if it's going to be one of those big provisional squads, or if that's something that he'll be doing away with, because it's this tricky situation whereby clubs are obviously back in pre-season. What's going to be happening? Will lads be breaking down and training? Will lads be able to get through pre-season? And by the time the games come around in September, so it's going to be interesting to see who he has. I think he's going to go with the expanded squad, but not so much a caution, but I just don't think it's not going to be a revolution straight away. It is going to be, obviously he'll be making his mark, but it's similar. It's what the texter said earlier about Bayern Munich. Like, the manager is nowadays always so important, but like there can be more that can be got from that group of players that have been there with someone like Stephen Kenny, someone who can inspire people, but also give them the platform to do more. And it was actually something that even Enda Stevens will benefit from, because there's even for someone like him, who there is so much more that can be got out of him in an Ireland jersey that wasn't there before, and I think we will see under Stephen Kenny. So I think there's as much to be as excited about, even with the players who've been around the squads, the likes of Robbie Brady, who Stephen Kenny has already name checked, the likes of the Jeff Hendrick, who we all believe there's so much more to come from, because it almost feels like a stick that people beat him with now because of Euro 2016, because of what we've seen some of these players do already. We kind of expect them, well, they should have kicked on. And there's no doubt about it, some of these lads should have. And I think Stephen Kenny could be that person, and a manager with the staff he has to give them that framework to do so.
Johnny, say you ring Stephen Kenny tonight now, and you're telling him who should be in that team. Who'd you like to recommend and name?
I just echo what David said there. Like, the revolution is going to take a while, but what Kenny will do is, like, the players that he's referenced there, Malumbi and McCarthy, even Arthur and like Hendrick would probably be a more guaranteed starter maybe than any of those three. I our midfielders cannot absolve themselves of responsibility of getting on the ball, and we've had far too much of that, even under Mick McCarthy, who wouldn't be as negative a coach in terms of how he played as Mark O'Neill was. And Enda Stevens isn't going to admit this, but when Enda Stevens gets the ball at left back for Ireland, frequently his option is just to play the ball down the line, down the channel to James McLean, and that day has to be gone. We have to have midfielders like Malumbi, who's demanding the ball in brave areas, or not even brave in modern football, but because of how, you know, insipid our performances have been in terms of bravery and getting on the ball and imposing ourselves and feeling that we're actually the equal of the teams that we're playing against. That just isn't accepted. That's just not normal anymore. So I think James McCarthy could be a key player for him. I think Malumbi will longer term be a key player. Whether he's quite ready to step up, yet we'll see. You know, we've spoken an awful lot more about the kind of the stars that have in these offensive positions, like obviously Ida, Parrott, Connolly, and so on and so forth. Even you look at a very rare thing for a young Irish striker to be scoring goals in terms of Obafemi, who's probably way down the pecking order, despite the fact that he's had a very good season in many ways. Then you have Afalabi. But if you look at the centre-backs like Darragh O'Shea coming up, an outstanding season in the Championship, I think he's going to be a massive player sooner or later. But it's not so much necessarily right now about the players he brings in, and everyone's going to be fascinated by who's he going to bring in. You know, he loves the 21s, he loves these lads. It'll be more the four of them, and that includes like the coaches that he have, saying to all of these players, what you have been doing up until now is just not anywhere near acceptable for what we will demand of you. And I think that transition will be fairly apparent straight away in the first 5 minutes of the game in early September in both the Bulgaria and Finland games. I think it'll be very apparent, even if the personalities haven't changed that much, the narrative will have.
And David, given there's not going to be a 700 gazillion, billion, trillion takeover over Newcastle now, and Messi's not going to be there, Jeff Hendrick will probably be there now in the next few days as a signing, and that's only good for him.
You know, it's an interesting one, because like the more I thought about it, I'm sort of thinking, well, actually, will it? Like, I don't know if Newcastle, at the moment, I think Newcastle is like the sort of place where dreams go to die. You know what I mean? It's like. It's sort of like it's one of them where they've got this like great history in terms of like the fans who are so passionate, and like they are like being to Newcastle, you go to games there and it's like a one club city, and it's a cathedral. Like even where the ground is, it's like right in the city centre. Like saying things everyone's already talked about, like it's a football obsessive city, but like the Mike Ashley era, it's just like it sucked every little bit of like joy and kind of positivity that Kevin Keegan kind of seems to have thrown into his during the 90s. And obviously there was a lot of talk about the talk from Saudi Arabia and the rights and wrongs of that. It hasn't happened. And you're kind of looking at now, and like Jeff Hendrick, like it's a Premier League club, it's a huge club. He'll get a decent contract while he's there. They finished below Burnley in the league last season. Let's not forget that. Like, this isn't a Newcastle who will. I don't think Newcastle will finish in the top half next season. Like, if he's playing every week, well then, yeah, that's great, because that wasn't always the case even at Burnley. I think even more so as it was coming towards the end, or even the last year or so. Like, I wouldn't say I don't think there was any falling out with Sean Dyche, but I think obviously Sean Dyche was beginning to realise, well, he has to sign a new contract. He had to kind of look at other aspects of the team. What I think could be good for Jeff Hendrick at Newcastle is if he's pinned down in a specific position, because that just hasn't been the case. And I still don't know. Like, centre midfield, you would think is his best position, but that would be the one thing that could come of this, is if he's playing regularly, he finds form in a particular position whereby then he can translate that into the international fold. But in terms of, on the face of it, yeah, he's gone to a club to play in a great stadium, but I don't know, Newcastle, it's not the most inspiring of places to go, just because of everything else that happens around the club. It's just, I don't know, I just don't. I think the only way it could work for him is if he actually plays regularly and finds a bit of form.
Somebody texted in there, Alan Brown, of course, has to be in the reckoning as well for the midfield berths. Vinnie Perth, irreconcilable differences, the fact that he's now left Dundalk. Was it a bit unfair for Vinnie? Like, he won the league in his first season.
It's a complex situation. I know Vinnie was on the coverage of the game last night. I was at the game, so I didn't see it, and I'm sure there's only so much or so little he can say at the moment.
Yeah, that's the case because it's still ongoing. Whatever the.
Yeah. So. You know, football is quite fickle now, JD. Like, I wouldn't overstate what Dundalk achieved last season in winning the league. They've massive resources. As much as they've had a lot of injuries in midfield and so on and so forth, they had a team of winners who knew how to win the league, and they did the job. Personally, I thought in Europe last season they were disappointing. They've really struggled to score goals away from home, and they've been really, really poor in recent weeks post-lockdown. And to me, it's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 4 times. There's something wrong there, because Dundalk are defending in a manner that I've never seen since the Stephen Kenny era, and including the Stephen Kenny era. I never felt confident during the week that they'd win in the Champions League, because there's a malaise there. Some of their key players are making mistakes. There was obviously talk of sort of discontent in the dressing room. And I think the team that Vinny put out, and Vinny is a very likeable fella, and he's very honest to a fault. He took responsibility after the game, even though his players had made mistakes, and he said, I put out the team, and it's the buck stops me, and I thought he put out a decent team, but they defended poorly. It was another very poor performance, not a performance befitting League of Ireland champions, but there is a deeper malaise there. I think the guys running the club there could run this club into a place that it doesn't want to be. They have a serious risk of alienating their fan base, because we don't want a Newcastle type takeover that could have happened with the Saudis, even though it could have happened with Galway United. But what's happened with Dundalk in terms of the rumours of what's been going on off the pitch, and the fact that they could alienate local sport is very, very damaging. And I think Vinny was probably in an impossible position. But the mad thing is now it might not be that easy for him to get a job as a manager in the League of Ireland, because everyone will say, well, sure, anyone would have won the league with Dundalk, and look how quickly it ended.
Robbie Keane, David, linked on the back pages with Dundalk today. I don't know how much legs there is in that story, but Robbie Keane for Dundalk would be something else. I would probably think in my head that Robbie Keane probably looking for an opportunity in England.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I would be astonished if that comes to pass. It's something that I suppose, like, you never know in terms of the peak six. I'd be very surprised. I think they're going to try and go with someone who maybe, because their whole model is based on qualifying for Europe, winning the league, trying to win the league, getting Champions League, or being around the Europa League. Otherwise, there's no point in them being here. Mad as it sounds, Robbie Keane's probably would be a major risk. It's just been an interesting. Like, I was up in Dundalk when they drew with Waterford, and obviously it was the famous, infamous now at this point after the comments from John Sheridan about being a pub league, and it was, I would say, the most worrying performance that the writing seen on the wall there, and it wasn't that to do with stuff that's come out now about the influence behind the scenes, maybe of the owners possibly trying to influence team selection. There was something much more significant there in terms of the dressing room. There was just a sense that things have not been good there, and this hasn't just started with the owners. I would say I think that there's been other stuff there happening in around that dressing room that just has not been good for the club, and that Vinny just wasn't able to properly get a hold of, which seems strange considering last year what was so good. But things can change very quickly in football, and I would say the wheels have been coming off for a while on this. This is something that you speak to people around the club there. This didn't just happen over the last couple of weeks. This has been ongoing, and I would suggest now that it's going to be very, very important what they do now for the rest of the season, because they still have a European campaign. Like, they need
Europa League, the
European campaign in terms of Europa League. So, like, it's not as if this season now is a total write-off where they can say, well, we're not going to win the league, which I think at this point now it's fairly obvious they won't be very surprised if they can push any kind of run when you're considering what's happening above them with Bohemians and Shamrock Rovers. But, like, the Europa League is still so important to them, and the point as well you made about losing the fan base, it just feels there is a sadness to it, in the sense that obviously Stephen Kenny, Vinny Perth are the ones who kind of went on this great odyssey and over the last number of years with the Europa League campaign, winning the league titles and just bringing a bit of life into the town, and there is a bit of, I'd say, there'll be a sadness there from some in terms of how it's beginning to end. But I would also say that there'll be people in that dressing room, and it's not just one or two, but more, who actually felt, well, you know what, something needed to change. There's a lot of players there out of contracts. You see what's happening up the road now with Shamrock Rovers and even Bohemians. Like Dundalk that needs a serious lack of judgment now and proper structure to make a mess of this, because they have the biggest budget in the league. Like they should have everything going for them. They need to get things right, and if they don't replace someone who is capable of actually galvanising that dressing room and also being capable of bringing in players who are going to deliver, well then, as Johnny said, it could be a very hard and tough fall for them.
So just on that very briefly, sorry JD, I won't be long on this, but if they bring in, and I do believe they may be interested in Robbie Keane, and that's a massive red flag straight away. Robbie Keane has absolutely nothing in his CV to suggest he's ready for this job, because the League of Ireland job requires a little bit of specialist knowledge, and especially thrown in at the deep end, in the sense in the middle of the season. If they'd any brains, the Dundalk guys, they'd be looking for Keith Long and Trevor Crowley, or they'd be looking for, just in County Louth, they'd be looking for the two Drogheda managers, Kevin Doherty and Tim Clancy. That'd be the logical thing to do, and I doubt they'll even approach them. They look for a big name, even though there's no even bump in crowds at the moment, because there are no crowds in matches. And Robbie Keane, if that approach to be made, I think it's quite hilarious, to be honest.
Okay, 53106, massive Liverpool fan. I gave away my ticket to the Champions League final in 2005 against AC Milan. The biggest regret of my life. That is from Tom in Kinnegad. You lads ever given a ticket away?
Have I ever given a ticket away?
Yeah.
No, I bought a fake ticket for the final in 2011, hoping to get into Wembley.
Why did you do that?
Well, at the time, so I'd given up. I had a season ticket with Man United for a few years, and that's how obviously I went to Rome in 2009, and I got a ticket through the ballot. But then I moved to Manchester. I was living there for a few years, and actually realised there's actually no need to have a season ticket, because it's actually, once you know the right people and you're around the place, you kind of pick up tickets. So I gave my season ticket up like an absolute idiot, and I still went, obviously going away to games and stuff, and was down in a pub in Kilburn, travelled down from Manchester on a bus with a lot of lads who obviously all had tickets. So I was running up and down Kilburn High Street like a madman, trying to meet up with different people who were selling tickets and all, and the prices were just ridiculous. And then a fella said, listen, fake tickets going, it'll get you through a cordon. And I think the phrase in Manchester is called jibbing in, bunking in, we call it. And I got past one cordon, nearly got in, got thrown out. It was like scaling Wembley, trying to get into the ground some way. And some fellas were successful, a lot more successful fellas than me. And then I ended up watching that Champions League final when United got absolutely battered in a Ladbrokes with 6 cans of Stella because all the pubs were filled.
You can't drink it at bookies.
Listen, that night, all reels were out of the window. It wasn't a bookies that night. It was absolutely jammed. It was incredible. It was actually amazing.
You're a classy man.
Johnny, have you got the story to match that in terms of giving a ticket away?
No, I've given tickets away for the odd All-Ireland final, but that's like, I gave a ticket away for the Dubs 5 in a row. It was like, well, I got a ticket, but like, it's not really going to bother me if I miss it. Whereas, the Dublin fans have been to all the games. So, like, I've done that, but not in terms of anything that I've really missed out on, even in football or gigs or anything like that. But we've had this debate, JD. I'm not a fan of paying touts for tickets. I know you've come down on the other side of that, but David Sneyd's morality is just another level altogether, trying to get in with a fake ticket. I mean, anyway.
Yeah. I gave away my ticket for the Rugby World Cup final in 2015 because ultimately it's the wrong shape ball at that level. I love the Six Nations. I love watching them. We've been watching Leinster Munster tonight, but to deprive a rugby fan of a Rugby World Cup final ticket, it's too much. I definitely thought. Thiago to Liverpool, Johnny, you were saying that you think that actually might happen.
Yeah, well, this has been linked for ages now. I think Liverpool will probably reflect on the season. They've had lots of time to reflect and say that Klopp would definitely be of the opinion that they probably do need to improve a little bit. And the one thing about Liverpool is that they don't have that kind of classy midfielder who will sort of dominate games. And it hasn't really been part of the way they play because their front three is just so electric and they defend so well with Alisson that they don't necessarily need that. But I think for the next level, if Liverpool, Man City and the two other teams that are there now were in the last four, who would you fancy? Are Liverpool quite up to the level of Bayern Munich and PSG. I'm not sure, but I think they will need to change it up a little bit. And the Thiago thing's been mentioned for so long. It's been suggested that obviously with COVID and all that he's had time to reflect that I think he's 29 now, so he's sort of coming towards the end of his career. And, Klopp will obviously character vet him, and I don't think it's going to be an issue there. So I'd say he's definitely, I'd say that will happen, and it'll be interesting because Man City will surely have to feel like they've left this season behind them in many ways, and they've got to be intent on some revenge next season. So he would be the logical one for me, JD.
How'd you call tomorrow night, lads? PSG against Bayern?
I fancy Bayern. I just think they have more about them as a team in terms of, like, if things aren't clicking for them and they're not playing the smashing football that they have been doing, I just think they have that ability to be able to shut the game off, even then for PSG a little bit too. But I just think Lewandowski, obviously Thomas Muller, Thiago, who's just an exceptional player, and I think if he went to Liverpool, like, they just go to a whole other level, even more so than they are now. And yeah, I fancy Bayern tomorrow. Nick, I think it'll be Nick. I think it'll be 2-1.
Johnny, how'd you call it?
17-16 to PSG or something like that. I'm going with PSG. I just think it's very, very risky to be playing the way they'll play with that pace. And, it's interesting as well, quickly, that they don't have that much time to do your opposition analysis. There'll be a League of Ireland first division game and they'll have 2 weeks looking at the opposition. This isn't quite like that because it's so rushed. But it's fairly simple. PSG will know Kylian Mbappe. Simple.
And just before we go, lads, Shane Duffy, Neil Lennon has admitted that there is an interest in bringing him to Celtic if it works out. Would it be better for Shane Duffy to move to Celtic, guys, where he'd definitely be a mainstay, or to try to get another Premier League club?
I don't necessarily think he would get a Premier League club. I don't know what you think, David. I think, he mightn't be fashionable anymore. I think he's good enough to get one, but he's had a good career. For me, if that move appeals to him personally, I wouldn't put it against him to go there, but I think his struggles will be keeping his Ireland position. I think that's far from guaranteed, and maybe that'll form part of his attitude as well.
I think he's still a Premier League player. I think it depends what options are available to him. I remember speaking to him in Brighton after a game when he'd been dropped, and he still spoke after the game, and he is adamant that he can do what's needed of him in terms of obviously Graham Potter doesn't see it in terms of being able to play out. I think the character of the person that he is, the type of defender he is, there will always be clubs, you'd imagine, in the Premier League who would want a defender like him. Whether or not Celtic just maybe provides a bit of an emotional attachment there for him. Would he want to go up there, play every week, obviously potentially be a part of a Celtic team that wins 10 in a row, and then still play for Ireland? It's not going to harm his Ireland chances. It's just it's an interesting one. Like, I don't know if he's how big of a Celtic fan he is. Does he go with his heart or his head? You'd imagine there's options for him there in the Premier League too, or high up in the Championship. So possibly could even go on loan and stay with Brighton. It remains to be seen. But I think he still definitely has the quality to be a Premier League player.
Well, lads, I said back in February that it'll be PSG, and I'm not going to change now, given I can lay it off at 9-1. But Johnny and David, you've been great sports this afternoon. Thanks so much, and enjoy the final tomorrow night.
You too, JD.
You too. Take care.
That's David Sneyd and Johnny Ward, journalists there on the football show this afternoon here on Off the Ball. Don't forget Off the Ball Sunday tomorrow with Owen Sheehan in the chair from 1 o'clock. Ryle Nugent and Maura Tracy-Nicali, they will join us for the Sunday paper review. We'll be conducting a final preview of the Champions League decider with Mark Lawrence. And don't forget, it's Bayern Munich against Paris Saint-Germain at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Ellen Keane will be in conversation with James Scully and Dave Malone. Johnny Murphy will look back on tonight's match between Leinster and Munster, the return of rugby. So great to have the game back with that match in the Pro 14, and we'll bring you more of our Celtic Legends panel from our Pepsi Remote Roadshow. So be sure to tune in tomorrow from 1 o'clock. If you missed our football chat this afternoon with David, Johnny and myself, and Enda Stevens, who was on as well, you can find the podcast on our brand new OTB Sports app. Search OTB Sports in your app store now and check out the content as well wherever you get your pods. Thanks so much for listening this afternoon. Speak soon. Bye-bye.